Hello, people of the internet. My name is JD Shadow, and let's talk about Joe Rogan. Let's talk about CNN for a moment because I believe that he might end up wanting to sue CNN. If you do not know the story, it's all over the news about how he called out Sanjay Gupta on his podcast concerning the lie that he took horse dewormer in order to treat his health scare illness. Now, he caught it earlier this month or sometime last month. And he said he threw the kitchen sink at it. He took the controversial ivermectin, the subject of this whole thing. Also monochrome antibodies, which might be the true thing that got him out of that. And of course, no one's doing any research on that. And of course, IV drips, vitamin drips, stuff like that. But the main thing seems to be the ivermectin, which CNN claimed was horse dewormer. And he called him out on it, saying, does he have to sue CNN for this whole lie that they're spreading? And of course, Sanjay Gupta went on the podcast for a whole 3 hours. He called him out on it. Sanjay Gupta didn't have any real good answer for this. But then he went on Don Lemon's show on Friday and decided he was going to just submit to Don Lemon, doubling down on the whole horse dewormer lie. So what's going on here? It seems as though Joe Rogan might have a case if he decides to go and sue him. But knowing how CNN has Time Warner back to them, they might have a whole bunch of lawyers ready to go. So it doesn't seem as though he might win one way or the other because of the idea that they have a bunch of lawyers. However, there is another news organization, or should I say a quote-unquote news organization, that seems ready, willing, and able to double, triple, and quadruple down on the lie that he took horse dewormer. And of course, we are all talking about Cenk Uygur, Etta Kasparian, and the Young Turks. Now, in case you are living under a rock and you just came out of it, TYT, Young Turks back in 2017 took a $2 billion, I think it was $2 billion, might be more, investment from Jeffrey Katzenberg, the same guy who funded DreamWorks Inc. and is also a proponent of Soapbox, Soft Online Privacy Act, and I don't need to tell you how toxic that was. I also don't have to tell you that ever since then, TYT has gone really downhill. You have seen many people leave, just as Kyle Kalinske, Jimmy Dore, and others, because of how toxic they have become. And no doubt that they seem to claim they are still progressive. They are clearly not, by any stretch of the imagination. However, the whole thing is that twice now they have doubled down on the idea that not only is ivermectin horse dewormer by default, but it has absolutely no effectiveness on COVID. Absolutely none. And they are doubling and tripling down on this. Now, I can point you to a video that Jackson Hinkle has done about this very video, and I'm showing you on the screen right now. Now, I'm going to black out the banner on the bottom of the screen because that just adds to their advertising, and I don't really want to advertise them more than I have to because I don't want you going there. I don't want you watching their content. I don't want you to be brainwashed into believing that they are telling you the truth, because all you have to do is to follow the whole story about Jimmy Dore and him calling out TYT for their slander on Aaron Mate, and follow that whole thing and all the clips that they ran that Jimmy Dore and the Vanguard and Jackson Hinkle and all those other people have ran about them, and then watch TYT and how they responded, and you will see that they are well known to manipulate clips to change the entire context of what a person has said, change what the reason behind anybody even calling them out even is, and just completely lie to you poker face as if they're telling you the truth. And they are masters at this. They've been doing this for a long time, although we are just now realizing how much down the rabbit hole they have become. But all you really have to do is to listen to what Cenk Uygur is saying in his latest video in order to realize that they are outright lying to you. First things first, they're claiming that Joe said that ivermectin was a replacement for COVID-19 vaccine. He never said that. No one on that podcast has ever said that, ever, not once. Anna is claiming that there was a study done at some point during this video when there is no claim as to where the study came from. It seems she just pulled it out of her rear. Like, where did you find the study? Where can we see the study for ourselves? We're just led to believe that this study even exists anywhere on the internet or anywhere in medical examinations. And of course, they're also doubling down on the Rolling Stone lie, the Rolling Stone article that they had to post an update instead of retract about people dying after taking ivermectin and the emergency room being full, and they had to post a quote-unquote update about that. They're just continuing to perpetuate these lies as if we're stupid and we're not taking anything into account. But of course, no one that is in their audience is ever going to question them. No one's going to even click any kind of links. They're not going to do any kind of research because they believe that what they're saying is the truth. They believe them. They are trusting them. But of course, this particular video is getting ratioed to hell and back. But here's the biggest thing is that Google and YouTube protect them. It seems as though they can get away with whatever lie they want to tell. And this is because TYT seems to be the attack dogs for not only YouTube and Google, but also for the mainstream media. They are allowed to get away with the screaming and the cursing, and, well, not necessarily the cursing because they claim the reason they don't curse because they're all on a bunch of different platforms now, and the name calling, the constant name calling. And then they turn around and try to claim that Joe Rogan is quote unquote boring because he's having these quote unquote right wingers on his show, that if it's not Bernie, oh, it's right wing, oh, they were so friendly to them and they're on the Bill Maher side of boring. No, that's not what the case is. The case is, if you notice, and this is just YouTube algorithms and YouTube analytics, we're not factoring in any of the other platforms that they're getting shown upon, so we don't have any data on that. However, it seems as though people are getting a little bit tired of the name calling, the screaming, and the shouting matches. They want to have actual conversations, and that's what Joe Rogan has. That's why people are going on to Joe Rogan's show. People are listening to his podcast because they can get actual conversations. They can get actual questions answered. They can hear two sides of a debate, and no one's trying to shout over everybody else and trying to interrupt people and trying to filibuster debates. That is exactly what people want now. They want to have people who are talking to them, not at them. And the TYT seems to be wanting to benefit off of the division, off of this sort of division that the mainstream media wants to do every single time. People don't want that now. They want to have people who will just talk to them and invite people to disagree with them. They want people to welcome them into their communities and to be able to push back if they want to, as long as it's civil, of course, and to hear these conversations. When a right winger goes on Joe Rogan's podcast, Joe Rogan doesn't interrupt them. Yes, he pushes back on them, but he doesn't yell or scream and curse at them. Now, he'll curse like a sailor, of course, but it doesn't mean that he's going to curse at them. He is allowing them a chance to explain their case, to explain their position. And there is nothing wrong with that. Why is it that the only conversation that TYT believes we need to have are conversations that involve us screaming, shouting, and acting as if we're 5 years old wanting to have a fight with somebody, that we want to throw down with somebody, that we have to have actual riots where people get hurt or physically injured? Why is that the case? And TYT says that they're against that, but the more I see this, the more I think, wait a minute, something doesn't add up with this. And if Joe were to see what TYT is saying about him, and Cenk is saying, oh, we all lie about him, lie about what? Show us counter to any of these things that we're saying about you, Cenk. You haven't proven that anything we're saying is a lie. You're just saying it because you believe that your sheep is going to believe you all the time about what you say. Even though this particular video is getting ratioed to hell, you keep doubling and tripling down on this. And of course, you have to answer to every single last person who ever calls you out in the media, because you can't just let anything go. You have to double, triple down on this. But not only that, not only would Joe have a case against them about this whole thing about the horse dewormer, which, by the way, Cenk actually admits in his very video that it's a medicine that has a animal version and a human version, then just completely turns around just 2 seconds later and says, is it horse dewormer? Is it horse dewormer? Is it horse dewormer? I would like to use it on the horse that I'm pleasuring. Yeah, that video, I've seen that. I know that meme exists now. Although I don't think I can object to their stock jock ways back in the day, but again, I'm more concerned about the name calling and the shouting matches that they constantly get into. I remember the clip from 2007 in which he called out USA Today and he was shouting and screaming to the point where he was blowing out the audio decibel levels. And I know I'm not perfect at setting that stuff up either, but it was seeming as though he wanted to fight somebody, that he wanted to throw a punch. Like he probably wanted to throw a punch at Alex Jones at that RNC thing some years ago. The same one in which Jimmy Dore spat in Alex Jones's face. He probably regrets that now, by the way. I don't know if he ever apologized to Alex Jones about that, but whatever. But that is where my problem lies, is that yes, he does seem to want to have this mindset that the only real debate is when you're screaming and shouting and filibustering people. And pushing back to him means that you do what they said about Aaron Mate, where you curse and label somebody behind a paywall. That's to them what pushback is. And that's what I'm a little concerned about right now. And the last thing I will get into about this is that I believe that Joe will probably do, if he decides that he sees this video or these series of videos and he would want to sue TYT as well, that he will do the entirety of YouTube and the content creators on YouTube a favor, a service. Because here's the thing, the other thing that TYT seems to want to do is to smear and to slime anybody who tries to challenge him on the progressive front. They have tried to smear the Fred Hampton leftists, they try to smear Jimmy Dore and Glenn Greenwald and these other people who not only do progressive shows themselves, but also seem to want to go on these other platforms as Roquefin or Rumble. And they've called Roquefin and Rumble right-wing outlets that welcome quote-unquote right-wing outlets. When in reality, we've also seen that TYT kind of wants to monopolize the quote-unquote progressive talk show front. They want to be the only ones available to you to go to, when in reality, they're far from aggressive anymore, though they continue to claim that they are. They have to continuously tell you that they are, and you should just show people, not tell them. But they have to tell you that every single time. They have to put that out there nearly every single video, that, oh, they're the biggest progressive media outlet on YouTube. No, you're not. You are the MSNBC that can curse and yell and scream and shout. You can get away with stuff that they can't. That's why they're going to you to be the attack dogs here. And these latest series of videos prove that you have to lie to your audience in order to get them to believe you. And you're building up straw men and then tearing down those straw men in this very video. You don't have to go very far to see that TYT is doing this. And then they turn around and tell people that all these other outlets are right wing because they don't agree with them. No, you're not going to be right wing if you decide to make an account on Rumble or on Roquefin. These are competitors. That's a good thing. It's a good thing that YouTube has competition, because if you have competition for YouTube, then YouTube can get better themselves. They can create better environments for people to go to in order to watch or to create content. Why is that a bad thing? And that leads me to believe that perhaps TYT is talking with Susan Wojcicki to create these sort of rules that we have to go by. If they are getting ratioed to hell, but they still have so much power, who do they have connections with? And why do we have to worry about getting demonetized, getting our videos shadow banned, or to have them being taken down for misinformation, when they can get away with whatever they want and no one ever calls them out on it on YouTube? No one at YouTube ever says, hey TYT, maybe you should dial it back a bit. It's because they might have an inside track here. And then they turn around and they blatantly lie to you unabashedly with a poker face as if they are telling you the truth. I've seen them be able to manipulate clips. I know they do it. I got woken up when they were talking about Jimmy Dore. I know they do it. I've seen them do it. This is not something that can be an opinion. I know they do it as a fact. I know they manipulate clips. I know they manipulate the context of these videos. They're doing it to you right this very second in that very video, that they're sitting there lying to you that they said anything about ivermectin being a replacement for vaccines. Why do you think they didn't show you any clips from that actual episode between Joe Rogan and Sanjay Gupta? Why do you think they didn't show you any of that? Because they know they're lying. They are masters at this right now. And for this to continue on, I believe if Joe were to sue TYT, he would win this. And TYT would be taking down major pigs, as if they might go under completely. Because they might not have the kind of legal representation that CNN might. But I think the entirety of the YouTube blogosphere would cheer Joe Rogan on, because we're getting real tired of having to fight and claw and scratch for YouTube to notice us and to recognize that we have some say. We should have some right to voice these issues about several things and not get demonetized. Not fear of getting demonetized when TYT can do whatever the hell they want and they get supported by YouTube and YouTube never calls them on any of it. And then they turn around and they try to smear other competitors because they're not YouTube. Because, oh, TYT might have competition somewhere. Good. TYT should have competition. TYT should not be getting away with lying and deceiving and doubling and tripling down on those lies and trying to cover up those lies with other lies and straw men, and then tearing down the straw men with other lies, and then smearing other people as if they can get away with it, and they think they can because they haven't had anybody actually call them out, and they're acting like 5-year-olds whenever people are calling them out. And TYT never used to be like this. They never used to be like this. No, they didn't have the greatest show in the world, but at the very least, they weren't doubling down and trying to get Kratzenberg money. I think they might want more of it. Maybe I believe Cenk Uygur was regretting taking the money and he's not having the passion he used to have, but I always believe Anna wanted more of it. Now maybe Cenk wants more of it as well. Maybe they believe they were trying to get more of Jeffrey Kratzenberg money. And I don't believe for a second that that doesn't manipulate what they say to you. Anna can say whatever the hell she wants, but oh, I don't have anybody telling me what to say. No one can tell me what to say. Yeah, I'll believe that when I see it. Fact of the matter is that I believe Joe Rogan should sue TYT and he would win this. And I believe he would do all of us a favor if he did, because TYT needs to be taken down a peg or two, or maybe 10. And I can tell you if they were to be taken down a few pegs, I also believe that we would see a lot less demonetization on YouTube. I believe TYT is toxin that is in the well right now. My name's JD Shadow, and that just happened.